What if I told you that there was a secret way of eliminating depression and anxiety in your life, and it doesn't involve medications, and that 99% of doctors and the healthcare profession are not telling you about it? My goal is to share with you the truth about anxiety and depression and how to really deal with it and get rid of it, or at least control it. And my other goal is to try to get you to unlearn what you have already been told by the medical professions and big pharma. If you stay until the end of this presentation, I have a very special offer for you, which I think will be very helpful to you. My name is Dr. William Belfar. I practiced as a neurologist and psychiatrist and trained at some of the finest institutions in the country. I went to medical school at NYU, finished a neurology residency at Boston University, and then went on and completed a psychiatry residency at the Johns Hopkins Medical Center. I practiced for many years and had a very successful practice treating thousands and thousands of patients. I was even seen on television, including many networks such as CBS, NBC, ABC, and this picture of me shows me on Fox LA. And I was a celebrity doctor, and everything was going wonderful for me until in 2013, I was arrested by the FBI for writing prescriptions for opiates. And almost overnight, I lost my practice. And throughout time, I lost my livelihood, my home, my family, my money, and even my dogs. I had to give them up. I became homeless and lived that way for a number of years. However, I did rebuild my life, and I am now the clinical director of mental health clinics throughout the country. And I'm back on television. In fact, not only am I back on television, I've been doing public speaking and have been given awards for it. So my life has been completely turned around. I've done a lot of things right in my life. I studied very hard as a child and in college, and I went and got into medical school. In fact, I'm one of the few people who got into medical school on the interview. I worked very hard, completed two residencies, and I became a very well-known psychiatrist and neurologist, having more training than most doctors do. But I've also done a lot of things wrong. Despite my professional life skyrocketing, my personal life wasn't doing that well. And I was going through a very acrimonious divorce and custody battle. And because of the way my head was, I made a lot of mistakes. And I did write prescriptions for oxycodone against medical advice. And because of that, I was arrested. I had to eventually surrender my license and give up everything which had taken me decades to build. I went into a deep depression and I suffered from severe anxiety and panic attacks. And I remember when I was at my lowest point and I did not know how to get out of it. However, I did learn the truth about anxiety and depression and how to get past them. And much of the truth I learned was because I experienced it myself. And I had been treating patients for years with just medications and psychotherapy. And now I realized that what I had been doing wasn't working because it never worked for me. I realized that medications I used to prescribe do not help. I know they don't help because I developed side effects from them when they were prescribed to me, and I never took them more than 2 days. I was able to get past my depression, my anxiety, my panic attacks without them. So supposedly everybody doesn't respond the same. Depression and anxiety do not need medications to go away and to control. And I found psychotherapy to be ineffective. And I'm in a unique situation because I'm a psychiatrist, and it was very hard for me to find a therapist, especially somebody who was trained in it as much as I was. And many times the therapists became my patients, and I felt like I was their therapist. There were times that they would ask me questions about their own patients or ask me questions about medications. And instead of treating me, they felt like they needed me to teach them. So this too did not work. I found psychotherapy to be very ineffective. And I discovered this the hard way. And you get to cheat and get the easy way to find out how to cure and treat depression and anxiety on your own. This is the hard way. You can fall victim to depression and anxiety and become a patient, and then fall victim to the healthcare community and big pharma, and then allow them to give you toxic medications. You can take these medications for a not so quick fix and suffer from side effects from them. And at first you can feel lightheaded, a little nauseous, maybe have some stomach upset, but eventually there are other side effects which come after a while, such as sexual side effects. And for young adults and middle-aged adults, it's not good because it's a very big part of their life. You can also waste valuable time on psychotherapy like I did. It proved to be nothing because none of the therapists I went to were effective at all. Then you want to learn the easy way to make you feel better than ever? In the past, I reclaimed my life and I did it without toxic medications or talking about my mother in psychotherapy. Before I teach you certain secrets and how to do this, I want to tell you about this disclaimer. Your outcome from what I teach you or share with you is determined by the effort you put in. Your results may vary from person to person. Not everyone responds the same to similar actions and behaviors. However, if applied properly, these methods can and will change your life and move you in the direction that you desire. So what are these 3 secrets that I'm going to give you? Secret number 1, the one thing that you can learn to control that will determine who you will become in life. Secret number 2, the thoughts that you have were not yours to begin with. And secret number 3, the environment around you determines your success. Now, what is he talking about? What am I talking about? Let's go through each secret and let me explain, and then you'll understand. So secret number 1, the number 1 thing you can learn to control that will determine who you will become in life. And what is it that you can control? Well, it's your thoughts. You can control your thoughts if you really concentrate and focus, because your thoughts are what cause you to feel depressed and anxious. And all of these thoughts are caused by some past traumatic event, something in your life that you've already lived through. You were not born with depression and anxiety and panic attacks. Something happened along the way that caused them and caused you to think about this. And when you think about these thoughts, this is what you get. Very depressed, anxious, and can have panic attacks. Depression, for the most part, is when you think about what happened to you in the past, that traumatic event. Anxiety and panic attacks are worries that what happened in the past is going to happen to you in the future. And that's why you feel anxiety. Secret number 2, the thoughts that you have were not yours to begin with. You were not born with negative thoughts and with traumas in your life. These things happen to you. And they happen to you because somebody did them to you and somebody told you certain things which may have been hurtful to you. Now, the reason that person told them to you is because that person had their particular purpose, and that is why. That does not mean that you are any of these things. So for many of the thoughts and many of the feelings that you have from these thoughts, they're due to somebody else's purpose and somebody else putting these thoughts in your head. Now just think about that for a moment. When you were young and doing nothing except playing and loving life, people may have told you, oh, you scream too loud, you talk too loud, you look funny, you walk funny, you act funny. And that was to get you to be quiet and to listen to whatever they have to say, whether it was destructive or positive. So their purpose was really to control you, and you internalize that. And a lot of those thoughts that you have, which cause your depression and your anxiety and your panic attacks, were not yours to begin with. Secret number 3, the environment around you determines your success. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you think about positive things, you'll probably want to be in a positive environment, a beautiful environment. But what happens if you're thinking of negative things? If you put yourself in a beautiful, positive environment, just like in this picture, odds are it's going to cheer you up and going to make you think about different things. If you look at the beautiful scenery and the flowers and how peaceful and serene this picture is, then if you surround yourself with something like this and put yourself where beauty exists and with positive people and caring people, then It will determine how you are feeling and how you will be in the future. One way of getting rid of depression and anxiety is to remove yourself from your current environment and then change it to a much more positive environment. Now, let me give you a case study of what I am talking about. This is a person who I coached. I did not treat this person when I was working as a psychiatrist and neurologist. I coached this person, which is very different than giving medications and psychotherapy and going back through people's traumas, which is just going to cause them to become more depressed and anxious. Step number one, control your thoughts. I had a young, beautiful woman came to me who was in her mid 30s. And her issue was that she really hated her job. She worked in a lighting company and she would have to get up every morning and open the store and get everything in place. And she was not making a good living and she was very unhappy with what she was doing. She wanted to quit her job, but just couldn't bring herself to doing it. She wanted to become an artist because this particular person was an incredible painter and sculptor. And from what I learned later, incredible photographer also. But she felt a lot of guilt about quitting her job. And so she remained in it. Well, step two, again, was to find her purpose. Right now, at that time, the purpose she was living was for the owners of the lighting company. She was making them rich and making herself poor and depressed. So she needed to find her own purpose, not the purposes of somebody else who was telling her what to do. And her purpose was to bring beauty into the world through art. And this is what she just wanted to do. And so she went to step three. She changed her environment. And how did she do that? She quit her job. She quit her job and created her own art studio. And with that art studio, what she did was these were the results. She displayed her art exhibit at the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, in New York City, where many people showed up and saw it, and she lived a glorious life afterwards. So, these past 20 to 25 minutes, would you agree that it has been some sort of time well spent for you so far? Have you learned something? Now, I can't cover everything you need in this short training. Even if we had all day, I couldn't cover it. Do you know, it took me decades to learn this stuff, to unlearn certain things, to live through it. And now I'm able to bring it to you. But what I can do is give you a special offer so then you can get everything you need to know about how to control and treat depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. And if you act fast, I'm going to give you a very special deal. Now, you may wait and do nothing because those are habits that you created. And those old habits, they die hard. They're hard to do anything about it, but they can be put to rest. So I want to help you. I want to help you take control of your thought, find your purpose, and clean up your environment. And I can do this with a one-to-one cope call. If you notice the first two letters, CO, control your thoughts. Third is P, find your purpose. And E, clean up or change your environment. So that's a one-to-one cope call. And you can get started now. Book a free one-to-one cope call by clicking the button below or booking here at www.drwilliambelfard.com. Please do yourself a favor. The call is free. It's a half-hour call and will do you a world of good. You should act now. Thank you for your time.